why do these conspiracy theories persist? Well, there's all of this outrageously shady shit that is real. There's all these conspiracies that are absolutely real, and you guys have no interest in talking about them. And the only people who do talk about them are people like Alex Jones. You know, when I was like first getting politically, you know, interested or whatever, or, you know, getting into all this stuff, and I started hearing some stuff, like when you hear about Operation Northwood, for example, right? Which is a plan that the CIA came up with that was signed by the Joint Chiefs, that was presented to Kennedy, and he ended up turning it down. But the plan was to have a false flag attempt, murder American citizens in order to start a war with Cuba. This was their plan, okay? And this is declassified. This is not like, there's no, I shouldn't say there's no conspiracy. It absolutely is a conspiracy, but there's no like speculating about this. Like this really happened. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this can't be real. And then you look it up and see, yeah, this is declassified. This is absolutely real. This is a real thing that happened. The U.S. government was prepared to murder its own citizens, stage a false flag in order to start a war that they wanted to start. And then you realize, like, no one in the mainstream media has any interest in talking about this. You know how many different things I've seen on Kennedy, where they'll do a special on Kennedy, a special on the Cold War, on CNN, on MSNBC, on Fox News, any of these things. And no one thinks like this is a really interesting thing to bring up. None of them. But you know who does bring it up is Alex Jones and a lot of these guys who are conspiracy theorists. So yeah, it right away starts you going like, well, if this guy's the only one willing to talk about that, maybe I'll listen to him when he's saying this shit about Sandy Hook. Maybe I'll listen to this other stuff. Maybe the frogs are turning gay, you know? And like, okay, I'm not saying that, yes, there are some of these conspiracies that these guys get wrong. I'm not, by the way, quickly dismissing things that I don't know. I entertain the idea of all conspiracies. I just don't like jumping on shit that I don't know for sure. But like, yeah, isn't it pretty obvious? That's why they get into this stuff. And then I make the point, I say, like, here's an example. How could it possibly be? If journalists are not either two things, right? Either number one, you are straight up a part of this conspiracy. Like you guys are CIA plants or some other three-lettered organization that are working with the state, like secretly working with this conspiracy. Or number two, you are just completely failing at your job. Like those are the only two possibilities. How could it be, if it's not one of those two possibilities, that the president could sign into law the right to detain Americans without charges and hold them indefinitely with no due process, and you guys don't think this is like the story of the year? And not only do you not think it's the story of the year, you don't even think it's worthy of making one show. Like maybe one little thing. Rachel Maddow did like one piece on it, but there's like hardly anything you could find out. But then if you fucking look at it, all these guys on YouTube, all those people, these guys are really interested in this shit. All the like Scott Hortons and Tom Woods and Stefan Molyneux's, all these guys are really interested in this stuff. But you guys don't care about it at all. So how could it be? And then I say to Brian Stelter, excuse me, that I was like, well, you know, okay, so that's why these conspiracy theories persist. That's why they get so much attention. And yes, sometimes it manifests itself in silly things, like saying these guys are crisis actors, okay? And then he responds to me by saying, well, that, you know, it's not silly. No, it's not silly. It's dangerous. And this is why I just hit him again with the point. I go, no, it's actually what's far more dangerous is a president signing into law the right to detain American citizens without trial, and you guys not doing anything about it.